but the truth. You're getting Crane Durham's Nothing But Truth on AFR Talk.
How do you argue against feelings? The drive here. Crane Durham's Nothing But Truth. How are you doing today? How are you feeling? See? What's going through your mind? Feelings can change. Great thing to do when you are feeling blue is to think of things that you're grateful for. You can start with God, who created you and loves you, has a plan and a purpose for you. I don't believe Jesus was a socialist, by the way, in any way. So I don't believe God believed that the government should be stepping in here in so many ways, because that will actually not allow you to use the very gifts he's blessed you with. When I see somebody succeed, and by the way, on the Facebook page, I love what you're doing. Keep commenting. Thank you very much. I'll read those comments as we go. A lot of comments. And comments on the minimum wage discussion that we had yesterday, in fact. So keep them coming. Facebook, American Family Radio, Crane Durham's Nothing But Truth. You can comment on the live show right now. But when I see somebody succeed, when I see that they've been blessed with success and they have used it to bless others and blessed us with a service or a product, I like that. I don't really have a problem with people who do better than me, much better than me in the sense of economics, or success in the sense of their careers or in life. I do look for them to see if they carry a Christian worldview. I believe that is the foundation for true success. And how they approach things, what they did right. I like it. I'm a big fan of people who can succeed, rise to the challenge. I'm not a person who goes and says, I'm going to violate the 10th commandment, and I'm going to covet what other people have. And I say this because I think that is part of what we've seen with the Obama presidency. Everything is about taking from somebody else. It's a limited pie. It's not growing. It's being divided. And there will only be so much. Sad, depressing, in fact. So when we have discussions and say, okay, well, what works? What really is going to provide? What's really going to solve the problem? Not completely. When we discuss something like the minimum wage and helping people in poverty, we confront people with the facts that we're looking at 4% of the 2.7% who earn minimum wage, and they are the single parents earning it. 2/3 of minimum wage workers receive a wage increase in the year, and you have these people going to businesses and trying to pull them out to protest with them. How do they have money to do that? Because if you protest, a lot of times, I think there are many of us who would love to go to Washington, D.C. and protest a lot, get together and do it. But we're working, and we're unable to take that time. And you wonder how people can protest for a long period of time like we had in Wisconsin. Well, it's because unions are footing the bill. They're paid. And they're oftentimes bussed in. So it's a propaganda move. Nonetheless, when you bring back the discussion to fact, when we talk about the minimum wage, as I did yesterday, what occurs to me is that I could tell you that when you do increase it, you eliminate the ability for people to job creators to create jobs. Cited a study Larry Elder wrote about 40%, cut job growth by 40% of what it could have been because of the wage increase arbitrarily set by the government. Now we're talking about 15 bones an hour for a job at McDonald's. Now you're going to see a lot of automation. We've already seen that. And I had a wonderful caller call in. Her name was Judith yesterday. And if you're listening, Judith, I appreciate you calling in and being so honest, because she talked about earning minimum wage at a grocery store, being on her feet all day, and how hard she worked. And no matter what I came back with, it did not change that she felt they needed an increase. And yeah, she was being supportive of that. In the end, she speaks to the idea of, well, if they had a job and earned that much money, they'd be off other programs and it would cut on the welfare state. Well, not when you don't have a job and when you're eliminating jobs and you're dealing with entry-level positions so often. Nonetheless, this was the phone caller. This is some highlights of the phone call yesterday of what I'm talking about when we discuss the issues and trying to solve problems where feelings seemingly trump facts. Roll it.
I believe they should raise minimum wage, and I don't think $15 is too much to raise it to, because I know as a single mom during my lifetime, I often had to take jobs that were minimum wage, and I did not get food stamps, and I could barely make it, and usually I had 3 jobs just to pay for my children.
I guess the question I have is, you feel, Judith, and you're entitled to your feelings, and thank you, but my question is, what about the consequence of the action? Less people working, and that means people are not able to get a job.
So, and here's my thought on that. My take is, well, the people who are working aren't making enough money, so they're getting food stamps and all these other government subsidies just to live. If they raise it up, they won't qualify for food stamps anymore.
And so it's something that we appreciate when it comes to the hard work. Nobody's saying it's not hard work. But again, despite the fact that it's going to hurt the very people purportedly trying to help, why is it that we can't get through that wall? And I believe it is locked in as the feeling that you have, the identifying with the plight of people who are struggling in this economy. And then you go, but the solution is here, and this is how you do it. But when you're inundated with messages that even take protests at McDonald's, and equate them with the civil rights movement. I'm serious. This is how these things are dressed up. You have unions going across the country, 100 cities plus, protesting, organizing, and you have people like Minnesota Representative Keith Ellison, who says, hey, these people who are demanding $15 an hour at a minimum wage, and the government, the federal government, instituting that, they're like Rosa Parks. You don't believe me, do you? You say nobody would say that. You're distorting the civil rights legacy of what took place on that bus. You really are. You're cheapening it. You're misusing it. But I say to you, yes, it actually was said. Roll it.
But also many of them do too as well. When I was protesting with Walmart workers the other day, several of them were in fact left the shop floor and joined me and many others to stand up for higher wages. So it's both workers and non-workers.
Isn't it going to take a large number of workers protesting? It can't just be a couple of people, with some anonymous union workers helping. Doesn't it have to be like a huge movement to make a difference?
Well, yeah, but it has to start somewhere, right? And as a matter of fact, you've been seeing all summer long, whether they be in Milwaukee or Minneapolis or New York or Chicago or L.A. or San Jose, people have been standing up for better wages over the course of the better part of the year. But these things are growing. They're getting stronger. They're getting longer. They're getting bigger. And more workers are getting courage. Remember, one person, the Montgomery bus boycott didn't start with a big crowd. It started with one lady saying, "I am not moving." And that's how these things are going to start too.
And so what you will do is you will go to companies like Walmart or McDonald's or whatever particular businesses you want to target and demand that they pay a certain wage, which prices out people who will work for less, allowing for them to enter the business and show their skill set and, be rewarded on their merit. No, it's a demand. And who's going to force that? Well, you've empowered the government to do just that. And that's what we're talking about. We're talking about power. And we're talking also about winning hearts and minds. Winning the hearts and minds of the people of Walmart, of McDonald's, of patrons to say, hey, support us. But all they can't offer how they're targeting a major group or that the people that they're actually looking to help, that the result of what they'll do will help them. No, in fact, economists agree, this is across the aisle, in fact, that no, they won't be helped. They'll be hurt. So what is it about? It's about government power. It's about using and exploiting the emotion and advancing an agenda based on the feelings and emotion as opposed to the record. Also, with the willful blindness of ignoring the Constitution, ignoring what the federal government is designed to do, what our founders envisioned it to do, and misusing it. And so this is all the part of it, the expansion of power. What's really interesting to me is we have President Obama's defenders. Everybody knows he lied now. And they're admitting that. Oh, he lied. All presidents lie. It was for a good cause. We hear the fact that the status quo could not exist. I just gave you the stats on that pre-Obamacare. And 85% of Americans had insurance. 87% of those were happy with it. Bottom line, President Obama says you can keep your insurance. He lied. Knowingly misled the American people, looked at the grandfather clause, saw the narrowing of it post-law by Kathleen Sebelius, outlined by Arnold Allard, of Front Page Mag, and a great column there. Also, with others, distorted the website, has been dishonest about the fact they didn't want to show you the costs up front without the subsidies that you qualified for, so they didn't build that into the system. And why did they do that? Because they don't want you to see it for what it is, because then you may not support it. But in the end, everything's all right because it's good for you. So here's my question. Is it all right for a president to lie if you agree with the policy? Would you support that? Would you have a problem with it? Would you have a problem with the president if you agreed with the president and the policy and the outcome of that policy, be it a tax cut, it could be, name it. If you agree with it, is it all right? Would you rationalize the president lying? It could be an overstep of power to do something, but it's for our own good, and you agree with it. Would you have a problem with the president lying? It appears that this commentator on MSNBC does not have a problem with the president lying. Actually, it's CNN. And it is, I believe, let's go to cut number 7. Roll it.
Now, with President Obama, it is true. He should have been more forthright with how the Affordable Care Act was going to impact the country. But with that being said, All Americans know politicians lie. The question is, which lies can you live with? And time again, Americans have said we can deal with the lies that President Obama tells us because we believe in his heart he has the best interest for the American people. Every president is going to lie to you. Every politician is going to lie to you. The question is, which lies can you live with?
So we've just gone over the truth about how this was sold to us. It was sold on a lie. We've gone over the emotional driving force behind the argument, an emotional appeal opposed to a rational appeal. And incidentally, you can make emotional appeals for conservative policies as well, any policy, quite frankly. Emotion is a part of that. Feelings are a part of that. Nonetheless, feelings have trumped fact and record. And now we ask the question, if a president lies and you agree with the lie, is it okay? Would you have a problem with a president that lied, but you felt it was the right thing to do and the right policy to advance? And that's exactly what you're getting it. We couldn't maintain the status quo. So, 888-589-8840. 1-888-589-8840. I want to know not only if it's all right for the president to lie, if you agree with the president, but also what's the most memorable lie that you've been told or that you have told. Give me a call. 1-888-589-8840. Out of the break, your phone calls. Crane Durham's Nothing But Truth. Proudly on Say It With Me Now, AFR Talk.